What's up, YouTube, and welcome to a short, informative video highlighting some differences and some facts about Euro prints versus North American prints. So here we have just a few examples. And just before I start here, I'm not going to claim to be an expert, but I've seen my fair share of cards. I have opened my fair share of Euro prints versus North American packs, and I feel like I have a little bit of information that could be useful. So without further ado, we're gonna get going. Again, I'm not expecting to be having any groundbreaking news here, but this is just little highlights for some of the people who may not know the differences. So I'm gonna see if I can do this without taking them out of sleeves, but might have to. Yeah, you know what. Okay, gonna be doing a little bit of editing here. So now we have them out of the sleeves so you can see them a little better. So as you can tell, the Ultimate, it's really similar with Cyberdark Impact. The actual artwork, but a big tell is these, I don't know if you can see them too well through Cyberdark Impact. You can't see them too well, but there's these lines that you'll be able to see on the outlines of the Ultimate Rares. There you go. There you have an Ultimate Rare Euro print and a North American print, Cyber Ogre. Okay, so Cyber Ogre's actually one of those one of those GX sets that, yeah, it's kind of harder to tell. Like I said, I always say you can tell by looking at those stars. The Euro print stars are the giveaway. So here we have Cyber Laser Dragon. I'm gonna take him out of the sleeve as well, just so we can see it. Okay, so here we have Cyber Laser Dragon, and the Cyber Laser Dragon is actually one that you can see a little bit more. Right there is a pretty good example. Having both of them side to side, you can see the Ultimate Rare is much more pronounced, the artwork, and the stars are almost pushed in a little bit more, but yeah, definitely a lot more pronounced on the Ultimate Rare Euro print. And this one being the North American print. You don't see that same definition on the Ultimate Rare. It's a little bit flatter. It's not as flashy, some people say. I've also noticed that as I sleeve these up, I will mention, I've noticed that some Ultimate Rare Euro prints, most Ultimate Rare Euro prints, usually less stamping, less Ultimate Rare stamping than North American prints, where you see it through the back. That's just something I've noticed. So something else with the differences between Euro print and NAs. I've heard the cardstock on Euro print is, I don't know if I want to say cheaper, but it's more susceptible to being damaged kind of straight out the pack. I've seen a lot of cards that are mint condition, pack fresh, but they have a little bit of edge wear, to confirm that theory. So yeah, that's another little tidbit about Euro prints. I also noticed, this is just again personal opinion, I notice a lot of collectors prefer, especially if they're grading cards, they prefer they prefer North American print. Another reason why being the amount of European cards that were printed was higher than the amount of North American cards that were printed for certain sets. So I've heard. Again, none of this is confirmed, but just through people who I trust, this is the information that I've gotten. And with some cards you can confirm for yourself too, you see a lot more of them in Euro print. Yeah, a lot of the GX, early GX stuff, I believe, was was heavily printed in Europrint, whereas North American prints were only printed in US, Canada, and Mexico, I want to say. Yeah. So here we have, this one is a big tell here. Elemental Hero Flame Wingman. And just look at the difference between the Europrint, obviously the one on the right with the very pronounced hollow and stars, and the North American print with the flat hollow. You can see some of the pronunciation in the back there, but just not as much. And there you have it. So yeah, Flame Wingman is a very good example of the differences. It varies set to set, as you'll be able to tell as we get down here to some of the 5Ds ones. But that's just a really good example. Flame Wingman's one of the guys who looks great. A lot of the Elemental Heroes, they look amazing in Europrint. Another difference with Europrints, as I am unsleeving these beautiful Elemental Hero Wild Edges. The Europrints are, the cardstock is almost waxy. If you open the packs and you feel them, they almost feel waxy, whereas the North American prints are almost chalky, I guess you could describe them as. But that is another big tell. Again, the only way to really tell that is by opening the packs. You can't really see much of a difference, but yes, that is another awesome Elemental Hero who really shows off his Europrint. Another tell, you can see it when you shine the light over it. You can see it on his chest plate here. It's a lot more pronounced, kind of pushed in the Europrint. Again, you just got a lot more flatness to the North American print, which some collectors prefer. I can't confirm which sets were printed more as Europrints as opposed to North American prints. Like I said, if you kind of keep your eye out on the market, you tend to see a lot of GX, early GX stuff in Europrint, whereas I guess the later stuff and 5Ds was harder to find. So that is another little tidbit. Okay, so before we get into some of the later sets and those synchros that I mentioned and that you see here, we're going to look at some super rares, some different rarities. That's when it gets a little bit trickier, well, not a little bit, it's when it gets a lot trickier to tell the differences. So we're just going to take a quick look here at some super rares. They're not the same because I don't have any that I can confirm that are two different, or sorry, that are two of the same card. But here is a Europrint Elemental Hero Wild Wingman super rare, and here is a Super Vehicroid Jumbo Drill. And again, on camera it's going to be really hard to show, but if you hold it in your hand, you can tell. You can feel the difference. This one's got a lot of foil bleed to it too. Look at that. Oh wow. It's beauty. Never noticed that until now. Pulled this myself out of a Euro box. That's why I know I can confirm it. And I pulled this out of a North American pack. So you can see the different shade around the border. It's definitely a lot darker on the Euro side. That's a little tell. Okay, now getting the super rares out of the way. Nobody's really interested in those. We're gonna get on to some of the synchros. And before we do, we're gonna mention another rarity which we don't have an example of here because I don't believe I have one in my collection. Ghost Rare Europrints. One more thing, I don't have an example of it, but Ghost Rares. Here's just a quick showcase of a Blackwing Dragon North American print. And this one, you'd be able to tell by, at least the only way I know, is again, the cardstock being a little bit waxier, but with European prints, you're able to see the outline of this guy. Whereas North American prints, they disappear a little bit more when you take them out of a certain light, and you're only able to see them when you kind of angle them correctly. So yeah, again, European prints being a lot more pronounced is a big tell. So unfortunately, we don't have like I said, we don't have a ghost Euro print to show off, but we're gonna get into some other synchros. Okay, so on to our next card, and into the 5Ds era. You can definitely start to tell it gets a little bit different as the ultimate rares started to become a little bit more pronounced in the 5Ds era. You can see even the North American print, the ultimate rare, I can almost describe it as it follows the artwork, kind of is following his hand there. So that is where it starts to get a little bit trickier. But again, a big tell is those stars up there. If you can see those circles around those stars, you'll be able to tell if it's a Euro print. It's really hard to tell because you can see those stars are starting to get a little bit more pronounced on the North American print as well. But if you look at the overall card, the ultimate rare effect is much different. It's much more poppy, it's much more pronounced, and the depth of those ultimate stamps is a lot further in on the Euros. So that is a big tell. Another tell, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it on camera, it's these very, very small diagonal lines on the outside of the ultimate rares. There, you can see them right there. On the Euro print, they have them. On the North American print, they do not. And again, this is a card that the ultimate rare looks very similar on both, but that is a big tell. Those diagonal lines on the border of the ultimate rare. Now, when you're getting into some of the newer cards, I don't have much of an example. It starts to get a little bit hazier, especially with the ultimate rares with the border, which was also ultimate rare. Again, another tell I would say being the darker ink, the darker print. But here we have another example of a synchro, which is really pronounced as a North American print. But if you have a Euro print beside it, that's when you're able to tell the difference. It just pops so much more. It has so much more definition to it. Again, if you start to look at these, the ultimate rare circles, they look very they start to look very similar. But I always go with kind of the darker. This is an example where you can actually see it on cam. The darker kind of bluish black borders. It's a good tell for the ultimate rare being Euro print, whereas the grayish black borders is the tell for it being North American. So that is just a quick little rundown. But to end it off, our next rarity, which we can confirm with the most epic card, D-Boys. Check this guy out. How amazing is he? Or are they? So, with secret rares, it's a little bit harder to tell. If I can get the zoom correctly, the North American print, which is on the left, has thinner lines in the hollow and less, I don't want to call them pronounced dots, but I would say the dots are neater, whereas the Euro print for secret rares doesn't have that same pronunciation in the lines. I say the Euro prints are much more likely to have foil bleed in them as well, as you can see with this card. But you can tell right there just how they don't reflect the light the same. It's a big tell too, the difference between a Euro print secret rare and a North American print secret rare. You can also tell with the borders on this one and just the overall inking on the card. It's a lot darker on the Euro print. But yeah, there you go. There you have it. You ended off with the most epic card ever that you may not have known existed. D-Boys. There you have it. Again, disclaimer, I don't claim to be an expert in any of this. So this is just through my experiences, what I've noticed, the differences between these two, and it's up to you, really. I've heard a lot of discussion on which ones you think are better, which ones you think are more rare, or more desirable towards collectors. I've heard some people overpaying for Europrint, which I never think you should do, because like I said, there was an abundance of them printed of certain sets, but other sets were a bit more rare. So that's when it gets a little sticky. But I never want to tell somebody how much they should pay for cards, so you pay how much you want. If you want to overpay for Europrints or mints or whatever it may be, do you? And let me know if you want to see me do more stuff like this, more informative videos, educational videos. Like I said, I never consider myself an expert, but I've been around for a little bit, so I do have some knowledge to share. I hope you all enjoyed, and stay tuned for the next. Peace.